Well, good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery here. We get together most weekday mornings at 8 o'clock Central to talk about strategies, tips, techniques, share success stories, and support each of you. Obviously, ever since we were awarded the grant to provide the Startup Business Funding Package, which should be shared on your screen now, we spend most mornings talking about what it is and what it does and how it helps, and both how you can benefit either as a participant and or as a distribution partner. Today, we're going to look at it a little bit differently. But first, let's agree on the ground rules of today's discussion. So the ground rules are, you and I know with absolute certainty the formula for funding. What does it take to have a fundable business? And it includes these items. Now, does an entrepreneur, does a small business owner have to get these resources through the grant, through the Startup Business Funding Package? Absolutely not. So that's really what we're going to go through, is draw a contrast of option one and option two. For those of you who are distribution partners, I think you almost have an obligation to try to talk your clients out of enrolling. And that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to try to persuade you to not enroll in the Startup Business Funding Package. And if you're a distribution partner, I'm going to train you to how to try to dissuade your prospects from enrolling. So I'll show you what that means. So we do agree that if we want business funding, we need to have a fundable business. So that's a fact. And we know what it takes to have a fundable business. So the question is not that, it's how do we obtain that level of fundability? So let's go through each bullet and let's look at it from two scenarios. So we know that we need to have a unique commercial address if we want to have a fundable business. We can't be operating out of a home address, can't be residential, can't be one of these shared office addresses where they give us suite 100 and a bunch of other people have the same suite number. That's not a unique commercial address. So that's a fact. So we know that. So then the question becomes, well, how would an entrepreneur satisfy that requirement? Well, option one would be to leverage the grant, enroll in the Startup Business Funding Package, and we'll do that for them for free. But they have options, and that's what I'm trying to persuade you, is that they have other options, and maybe their other options are better. So there's really two other options to satisfy this other than enrolling in the grant and participating in the package. So instead of getting a free address, they could go buy a commercial building. And that's what we did, and that's where our addresses come from. But they could go out and just buy a commercial building, and they have their own address. They have their own building. So that is an option that's a viable option for some, not all. The other scenario is they go sign a lease for a real commercial address. They need to have a written lease. So they can't just buy an address. They need to have a written lease because most lenders are going to ask for a copy of that lease. That lease needs to match the duration of the repayment term of the loan. So what do I mean by that? Let's say that they want to get a loan, low interest with low payments, paid back over 10 years. That's pretty common for working capital, 120 months. So they would need to either go buy a building, which is great, or they would need to go find a space, lease it, have a written lease, and that written lease needs to show that they have the lease for 10 years. Or they could just simply enroll in the grant, participate in the startup package, and we provide that for free. So they have options. Obviously, ours is the cheapest, the easiest, the quickest, but they do have other options. So you see how this works now, right? We're helping the client understand there's other ways to become fundable. You may not want to enroll in this grant. You may not want to. Go buy a building. Go buy a building. Go spend $200, $400, $1 million. Go buy a building. Then you got an address. Or go lease a space from a landlord that will give you a full written lease along with a landlord's waiver, which is required, and make sure that that lease is for at least 10 years. So you see they have options. Next, We need to have a business, without doubt, we need to have a business that's in good standing with the Secretary of State. Now, they may already have it. If they already have it, great, check the box, move on. If they don't have it, now we have two options. Either participate in the grant, benefit from the package, and we'll do this for you through the grant for free. That's option one. Option two is go do it yourself. Hire an attorney, hire LegalZoom, whatever you want to do. Go spend some money on assistance. Go spend money on the Secretary of State filing fees. You go do it. You can do it. We don't have like a trademark on forming new entities. So you can see there's two options. They can get it for free, option free, or they can go do it themselves or with an attorney or LegalZoom. They have options. They don't have to enroll in this program to have a fundable business. Third is we need to definitely be filed with the IRS to have an EIN and then use that EIN to go open the bank account. So again, they don't need our help. They could do that themselves or hire their accountant, hire an attorney to do that for them. However, through the grant, we do that for free. Fourth, to have a fundable business, we know that we need to have credit worthiness of the business. And so what does that mean? It first means that the business's credit profiles with Dun & Bradstreet and Experian Business specifically are optimized. So the number of employees and the industry code, the address, and all that information is accurate and complete. And then secondly, they need to have trade lines reporting. Well, we do that for free through the grant. We do it so they can enroll and through the grant and the Startup Business Package, and we'll do that for free. Both of those steps, help them with their profiles and add primary trade lines. We did a training 2 days ago. We'll add a company car. Several of you now have said, yes, you want company cars. So we're in the process of getting those orders filled for company cars. Maybe you want company credit cards. Whatever it is you want for trade lines, you need to have trade lines on your credit profile for it to be credit worthy. But do you need to use the grant? Do you need to go through the Startup Business Funding Package to build business credit? Absolutely not. You can do it on your own. You can go hire. There's a great company I would recommend 100% of the time called Credit Suite, CreditSuite, out of Florida. Great people. You're going to spend probably $3,000 to $5,000 on their package, but it's good. Very good. And it's essentially what we're doing here on this, but we do it for free, right? So no, this may not be the right package to help a client become fundable. All these things that we do, they could do themselves or do on their own. And I just want to make that clear. But and again, in this case, we can do it quicker, faster, cheaper. Then we get to the last bullet before we go to funding. We know, it's not a matter of opinion, we know that you need to have strong financials. Even if it's a brand new business, don't fall into that trap of, oh, it's a new business, of course I don't have good financials. That's bullshit. That's financial literacy. That's bad business. Yes, we need to have strong financials, even if it's a brand new business. We need to be able to produce a good balance sheet. We need to show that we have collateral on the balance sheet, even if it's a brand new business, to get approved. So they could get that for free. We provide that. That's what we do through the grant, through the Startup Business Package. We help them create financials. We transfer $10,000 over to put on their balance sheet for collateral. And then if they want help, we can help them liquidate those receivables. But they don't need us to do that. They can just go get their own $10,000 out of their back pocket, out of their purse, out of their personal account. They don't need our $10,000. They can use their own. Fine. Take your own $10,000, go put it in your business bank account, put it on your financials, and now you have collateral. You do not need our program for our $10,000. Use your own $10,000. But now all of a sudden you see, well, wait a second. So if I do need a commercial address and I can get that for free, I do need to be in good standing with the Secretary of State and I can get that for free. I do need to have an EIN and a business bank account. I can get that. I do need to have a strong business credit profile with numerous trade lines, and I can get that for free. I do need to have collateral or I won't get approved, and I can get that for free. it's a pretty strong proposition, right? So I think if we stop selling, none of us that are involved on the distribution side need to sell anyone anything. We just simply need to educate. What does it take to have a fundable business? And this encompasses that. If you wanted to have a more true educational pitch, you can go down here under grant resources, and there's an on-demand version of the 10 mistake YouTube presentation. And so that is what many of us and several of you are out teaching, right? We can teach that in person or online to individuals or groups. We can teach it at churches, chambers, co-working spaces, but this gives more of the educational pitch, but it addresses what does it take to have a fundable business, because the mistakes, of course, is not having a fundable business. And then we can infer from that the grant that we applied for, that we received, that provides a startup package, does create 100% of the time, with no risk of failure, with 100% certainty, a fundable business. So I'm here to answer your questions. Those of you that are distribution partners, first of all, don't feel like you need to sell anything to anyone. Just educate them. If the client or prospective client has a goal of getting business funding, they need to know this, either these bullets, or again, you can take them through this. Of course, we have a proposal, we have a press release. You have lots of tools that are available for you to explain, but it's explaining the same thing. What does it take to have a fundable business? That's a matter of fact. There's no debating that. No matter if you're an accountant or an attorney or a banker, everyone with knowledge would agree what it takes to have a fundable business. So if we know that, then the question is, well, how do I accomplish that? This is one way. And it may be that they don't want this way. It may be that they want to go buy a building or sign a 10-year lease with a landlord. Maybe they want to pay the Secretary of State themselves, or hire an attorney, or use LegalZoom. Maybe they want to get that EIN and bank account on their own. Maybe they want to add their trade lines, primary trade lines, on their own. Maybe they want to pull $10,000 out of their back pocket and go put it in their business account instead of using our assets. Fine, fine. As long as you and I educate people, we have succeeded. But what we know is 85 to 87% of the people that you educate, if you educate them properly, will say it's a no-brainer, right? And that's what Joel is putting in the message. It's a no-brainer, right? How would I not want to leverage the grant? How would I not want to participate in this package to get this scope of services and go get funded? How could you justify not doing it? The biggest objection that you could face is the client says, or prospective client says, I already have that. I'm a fundable business already. Great. You don't need this. You're not qualified for the grant. You're overqualified for the grant, in fact. So if you already have a unique address with signed lease and documentation, you're already in good standing with Secretary of State, you already have your bank account, your EIN, you already have strong business credit, you already have a strong balance sheet with collateral, you do not need this. Do not enroll those people in this program. It's a waste of your time, our time, and the grant resources. Instead, they need to come right down here and they need to apply for financing today. Let's go get them funding today. But most small businesses aren't there. Now, you will run into some small business owners that say, I have some of this. I have some of this. I have my EIN. Isn't that fucking great? Sure, it's great. Are you a fundable business? Again, based upon the criteria we've taught. The answer almost always is no. Or they didn't listen to how you educated them, so they still don't know what a fundable business requires. Well, great. So you have some of these things. Great. Go ahead, enroll, leverage the grant, enroll in the program, and we'll use whatever you have. You like your address? Great. Let's use your address. You already form a Secretary of State? Fine. Let's use your entity. You already have an EIN? Great. Let's use your EIN. You already have a company car, company credit cards. You have a strong Dun & Bradstreet Paydex score? Great. We'll use it. You already have strong financials. Your balance sheet's strong. You got a ton of collateral just sitting there ready for approval. Great. I mean, if they have parts of it, it's fine. The process is still the same to enroll. But if they have all of it, then they skip it, right? They're overqualified, and you bring them right down here, and we'll go to funding today. Who has questions, comments, concerns on what it is that you and I do, why we do it? And we could talk about who we are. We're a 501c3. We formed back in 2016. I've given you this spiel time and over again. So again, tell me if you want to hear it again. It's fine. There's all kinds of grant resources here, success stories. If you're not a distribution partner, you can plug in here, talk about the full version, register for the daily Zooms. I mean, everything's here, just chapmanloanprogram.org. What do you need to know? If you're a prospective participant, what did I not describe properly? Type it into the Q&A box, please. It's like a chat box of Zoom, and I'll answer it. If you're a prospective distribution partner, someone joining us today and deciding, do I want to get paid to help people? Do I want to get paid a lot of money to educate people so they understand the formula for funding? Do I want daily deposits? Because most of you are enrolling one client a day into the grant. That's the average. Some do more, some do less, but average is one a day. So the average distribution partner is making $1,250 per day. So not get rich quick. You all are smart and successful. You probably make $30,000 a month in your sleep. That's fine. But if you're looking for a way to help people and make an extra $30,000 a month, 1,000 or so a day, then become a distribution partner. All right, so Manuel has a question, and it's a good one, about the Chapman Fund. So the Chapman Fund is through a taxing authority. It's not from a bank. So what can we infer from that? Well, if it's from a taxing authority, then it's from a geographical taxing district, a specific area. When we provide an address, we provide an address that is in the geographic area of the Chapman Fund. If you have an address somewhere else, then it doesn't qualify for the Chapman Fund, but that's okay. There's many other types of funding, probably not as easy to get, but that's fine. So if you have everything but geographic access to the Chapman Fund, perfect. Skip that, scroll down here, click on this today, and we'll get you financing offers today. That's fine. It won't come from the Chapman Fund because it's geographically based. We've talked about that before, but that's fine. There's many other types of funding. This isn't just a method of creating a fundable business for the Chapman Fund. It does that, plus it makes a fundable business for pretty much any type of business funding, you see? So we might only get for $250 through the Chapman Fund. You might say, oh, that's a bummer. That's horrible. I could go get $250,000 anywhere. Well, fine. Take your first $250,000 here, and then now let's go on to other sources of capital because we have a fundable business. That's the concept. You and I are helping people create a fundable business. When we're fundable, we can go get funding, right? That's what it means. All right, so who else has questions? Because if this doesn't make sense, first of all, I apologize because apparently I'm not very good at my job. But secondly, you got to step up and say. So we have Anthony on here, and we have Ashley and Bernard. There's 626 of you on this morning. It's a record. Charles, Chris, Eric, multiple Erics, Felicia, welcome aboard, one of our newest branches. Emmanuel, Jehu, what questions do you have? Because if you don't have any questions, we probably need to end this Zoom, and you should go out and start educating people and teaching people because they need this help. I don't want you to be arrogant. But you know the formula for funding. You can take anyone and help them get at least $250,000. That's the economic power and knowledge that you have. But don't think for a moment that other people know what you know. Most people don't. That's why we applied for the grant. That's why we received the grant. That's why we put this together. That's why we do this, is most people need your help. You don't need to sell anyone. You're not a salesperson. You're an educator. Go out and teach and educate. You can teach them on the fly. You can teach them with a formal curriculum. You can have them watch on-demand YouTube videos. You can give them proposals. We'll provide you all the resources under the sun. All you need to do is go help people. If you have a desire to do two things, help people and make money, you're in the right spot. because you can do those two things. Now, if you don't want to help people and you don't want to make money, then obviously don't be a distribution partner. All right, we have a question from Trevor. So when we form an entity or use the client's current entity, whichever they prefer, Trevor's asking about, yes, so we're transferring over 10,000. That's a matter of fact. That's true. With that, then we can, because remember, we created a bank account with the EIN, we get the bank account, and so then we're going to create financials, and the financials include a balance sheet. And the balance sheet shows assets and liabilities, which helps us determine the collateral. So we're providing some assets right out of the chute. And then, of course, we'll work with the client to identify, are there other assets that they have? Well, they'll at least have some cash in the bank, right? You can't really have a business bank account, which is not stated here, but it falls under that bullet, without at least $1 in there. But the point to Trevor's question is, we will work with the client and determine what assets they have. If they have enough assets then for the amount of funding they want, then great, check that box. They have enough collateral. And if they don't, we'll add more assets. It's not a problem. I'm working with Eric and Veronica and Ruhan, I believe, and we're working on a client that needs $20 million of assets to qualify. And that's what we're working on today. We have a call at 9 a.m. Central, getting that client $20 million of assets so the client will qualify for a $20 million loan. So we can do large scale, but I don't want you to get distracted with that. Most of the deals we do are in this $250,000 size. But yeah, if a client needs more, we can do more. The model is the same. It's just to the extent of fundability. All right, well, I'm winded after this spiel. So what's the bottom line? Go to chapmanloanprogram.org and plug in, right? You want funding to start or grow a business? Complete step 1, complete step 2, and you're in like Flint. You want to make money by helping people? Come down here and click on this. If you already are a distribution partner, then at some point you've got to go implement, right? You've got to take this knowledge and go apply it. Otherwise, you're not helping people and you're not making money. We'll be back tomorrow morning, same time, same place. Let us know how we can help you. Our phone number and email is available here. Thanks, everyone. Talk to you soon.